Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. Where are we now? So it's been a few days for me since I've been able to touch this with a few other bits and pieces going on. But I did rewatch episode 11 to catch me up to where we are now. And while I do watch my own stuff to sort of, kind of critique it, I suppose, I did sort of see a bit of a theme in all this, which is I'm talking about the camouflage, but you're not really seeing what I'm talking about. Okay. And this is not the first ship that I've done online, but what I thought I'd do this morning is bring the ship closer, and I want to show you something on the other ship. Well, there is the ship now closer, and if this was the deck, this would be what we're looking at. And I've talked a lot about what it looks like down when looking at this ship, and also what it looks like side on when we want to look at the camouflage. So I've just set some lights up on another ship, and I kind of want to show you what I mean. So here we are back at where the Queen Elizabeth is, and there's a light right here that way. So I'll try and stay out of the light. So what I'm trying to say is when we talk about dark, but I also don't want to hit the ship either. So as you can see, it's quite dark looking down. And looking down, there really is not much camouflage at all when you look at the depth of the ship. But then as we roll around and we lose the dark, then we've got all the camouflage coming out onto the ship. And yeah, it's all over the ship, onto all the structures, kind of rolling up onto the dark, just like that. So that's what I'm kind of aiming for, which is the dark side coming down and the camouflage sort of side on, like this. So now that you've seen kind of like what I'm talking about looking down, and of course this is a completely different ship. It doesn't quite have the levels that the other one does. It's different in its own way, but we're still going to end up with the same scenario, which is sort of the dark down here, some timber floors, and of course, camouflage that way. So hopefully, if you weren't sure what I was talking about, that would give you some explanation without actually showing on the ship first, because we could see it on another ship. So where are we now? Well, let's push this back for one moment, just like that. And let's bring in the plane. So it's pretty obvious that in our first structure we have a mast already, but this structure also has a mast, and we haven't built this one yet. So I think what we'll do right now is we'll get cracking on and we'll build the second mast. Well, there's our mast there. Just sort of studying it for a minute on the side here, we kind of got the same as the last one, which is our A-frame bits and pieces, but we do have to put these pieces on first. So I think we'll get E31 and E53 off and put them together. Well, there's our E31, and 53 is back just on here. So we'll get them off. Okay, there they are off. Let's get them cleaned up. There's our first couple of pieces, and I was really quite surprised. It had a sprue join here, on top, and also it was down the bottom there somewhere. I think it was there. Yeah, 4 points on this one just to make this. So there's our couple of parts, and it does look like this part has to come up underneath through here. I'm not sure if it'll go. Let me have a look. That is a yes, so I just took it off. It's a little tight when it first gets in, and then obviously it comes down. Now, where to put this? So this does not go all the way to the end. If I bring the plane back, I'll show you. There is the plane, and on this illustration, it's not all the way up. So what will we do here? I think I'll just leave that on, but free floating, and we'll sort this out, and then once this is sorted out, I can put that back because it'll already be on there. That's what I think I'm going to do. So I'll get the next couple of pieces out, which is E39 and 45. Well, there's 39. Let's quickly take that one off while we're there. Probably should have been a little bit more careful there, but yeah, anyway, that's one off. Let's get the other. There's our parts. Now let's get them all cleaned up. Okay, now they're both cleaned up. So we got to put the E45 onto the pole piece here, and then join them both together. So I think what I'll do is, can we do that while we're here? Let's have a look. Let me get set up and I'll bring you in for the gluing. Okay, I do believe it is something just like that. There's a bit of a notch in there where it goes in, and it is probably easy to do it on the bench, just like that. So I'll get the glue open, maybe. So there it is ready. Let's get the glue, not too much glue. Let's put him on there like that. A little bit of glue on there. Yeah. It's on. But is it level? Hang on a second. Oh, it's not that way. Let's fix that up a little bit. Hang on. So just while I'm there, I'm just going to give a little dab of glue on top as well. Just like that. And we'll let that kind of go off. A little bit of fluff there. Let's remove that. And how does it sit that way for straightness? It's always a good way to tell. So it needs to roll around this way just a little more. Let's do that. Just like that. And I think go a little less. Just like, and we'll let that go off for a minute. So just while that was going off, let's quickly remove him out of the picture for a minute, and him. Let's bring the picture back in. I was quickly looking at this while I was waiting for it and thought, okay, the legs, are they sitting on an uneven structure? And looking over here, they're sitting on a flat structure. So basically we want this to be standing straight up whenever we make this mask. So just getting a little bit set up here. I've got the glue ready, and I think what I'm going to do is come down. I actually need the lens. Hang on. Okay, I'm better set up now. So put some glue on there. Some glue on there. It's probably a little heavy. Then drop that down. Now, before I put that home, I want these two pieces here to go off. Well, enough to grab anyway. And then I can stand this up, and if we need to adjust it so the feet are flat, and we might even be able to adjust it now very carefully. Ooh, that's not carefully. Let's try that one more time. Maybe it's still going off. We'll give it another minute. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. Let's see how we go now. Let's pick that up. Yeah, it's a whole lot better. Let's put it on its own feet and see how it sits. Now, is that mask meant to be more forward? Let's move those out the way. What I mean by forward is, can I put you in a position where you can see what is straight? Let's go that way. Oh, careful. So I think what we need to do is roll that over a little bit. Something like that, probably even a little more, although the other one was a slightly back. Maybe this one's supposed to be slightly back as well. I'm pretty happy with that. I think what we'll do, we'll just put a little bit of glue. I can remove this piece. Gee, it's kind of fragile now. Yeah, I can remove that and then put a little bit of glue just here. and put those two together. Like that. And roll it that way. I think it needs to go a little more like that. Oh dear. Hang on. I think what I have to do is roll that back around that way. And just hold that on there. I don't want that to be glued. If I can help it. Let's remove that out of the equation. Let's hold the A-frame and drop the legs down onto that. That's better. Let's put some glue on there. And a little bit the other side. Let's let it tack off. And now let's see it stand. It's standing pretty good, and the structure it's got to stand on, because it is free, is actually this piece here. So if I grab that and sit that on there, is there a way to tell? Let me quickly look for the plans and see if this is meant to be straight or not. Hang on. Well, there's our plan, our main plan, and it does. It has a slight lean to it, and so does this one here. It has a slight lean to it. So I'm going to leave that just the way that is and call that there. So there it is at a slightly different angle for you guys. That's to be moved. If I can reset this. That is to be moved with that angle to the front. Something like that. And it is to be level or something. Let's have a look at that. That is not level that way. I probably don't need the structure itself at the moment. Let's put that back. Let's go back that way. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Just there, we can adjust this a little bit height-wise like that. Let's put a little bit of glue on that. And let's double check that for the way it needs to be. Okay, I'm happy with the way that's sitting, so I'm just going to let that go off. I'm going to let it go right off for 10 minutes just to let it sort of, it's not going to be bumped anymore or anything else. It's quite fragile. Okay, this has had a really good chance to go off now, and it is quite firm, and it's gone right off. So let's add the next piece, which is E52. There's E52 right there. Let's get him off. Please don't fly off, and it flew off. Cutting it in a big chunk actually helped me find it, so there it is. Okay, that's a tiny platform, that one there, and that would look like the platform holder underneath. So we have to fit that on there, and I think I'll set it up and then I'll come back. So there's that piece on my finger. I'll just put it in the right direction. I want to pick it up that way and put it straight on there. Let me have a look. Did we get it on there? We did. I'm not really sure if you've seen that. Again, I might be zoomed out a little far. So I use the Tamiya cement to just sort of put it on there. It is quite fiddly, and I'm even having trouble seeing it. So I just want to make sure that that's on that way. And it is. But I'm not happy with the way it's facing. So let's move that. And this is the reason why I use a Tamiya cement, because it buys me a little bit of time to put the placement. Again, I'm off camera. Now I'm just kind of making sure that it's kind of level. And just while we're there, we'll hit this with a little bit of quick set as well. now that it's kind of on there. It was a really tiny piece. So that's that. Is it okay? Let's have a look. Can you see it? Yeah, that's on there okay. So again, I think we'll let that go off for another few more minutes. Okay, I'm back. So that's had a good few minutes to go off. Probably about 10 in all. So it should be well and truly gone off. Let's put the next piece on, E47. Well, there's E47. And that is another tiny mast. Got to be real careful with this one. And we might even have to fix the top of it up a little bit too, I think. Well, there is our E47. And yeah, it's tiny. Whoops, let's not lose that. Let's put him on. Just before I put that on, there is some PE got to go on that. Let's see if I can find it. Well, there's the PE, and it says PE 30, which is this one here, and this one here. They're both 30. That's quite a big piece of PE to go on top of that little mast. Like, if I can put the mast on here with this, it's, well, it's kind of huge. And it doesn't go all the way through. It only goes partly the way through. Yeah, so this kind of leaves me with more questions than answers. And if I can bring the plan back, I'll show you what I mean. Well, there's the plan. The PE comes off in two pieces. It doesn't look like anything actually bends over. And then it kind of looks like it goes on the outside of this. And if we look at the next picture further up, I'll just adjust myself. There's another piece that goes on top of that again, and that mast doesn't go all the way through, so it kind of just sort of sits there on the outside. So do I kind of just glue them both together and add that as well? Not really sure on this one. I think what I'm going to do is just get the parts off and then I'll have a look. That's an awful lot of parts to go on that very tiny mast, that's for sure. Okay, I brought you right in here because I'll be honest with you, I'm a little stumped on this one. I've always said PE is not my strong point, and it's not. And, you know, traditionally I like to do models the old way, and PE is just something that I'm learning. So there's the PE part there, and it's got to come into kind of like a box here. And I'm thinking to myself, could I fold it over that way? Dropping both those two sides down, creating a top bar from maybe up here, and then I could bend these over onto themselves kind of thing. Now, what I will say is there is two of them, and I did discover that we've got to put one of these on the first one as well. So whatever I do with this, I have to do on the other one. Or, again, if it's your model, you can leave it off and do whatever you want. I don't want to leave it off. But how do we go from this to this? Without, you know, mucking around with it too much and overly bending it. Yeah, I'm going to take some time on this one and try and work it out. I might even cut one off and have a look. Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, I've got you zoomed in quite hard. So these 4 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, are 1, 2, 3, 4. And same on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I think if I bend this 90, and then I bend it up 90 here or 90 there first, and then do the same with that one, and then bend that one down, we should end up with the box that we're supposed to end up with. And bending it that way through there. Is that right? Will that give me the box? It should do. Yeah, so I think it needs a 90 here, 90 there. Bend that up, which will give you your legs down there. 1, 2. It could be the illustrations missing this piece. This is what throws me, this piece here, because it's not in here. the legs coming up, yes, that would make sense bending up that way. And obviously maybe you could bend them down that way, which would be the legs on the other side. Yeah, I'm not really sure about the bar there. But what I am sure is that's the bottom and that's the top. Bottom, top. So I think if we bend that, we'll be right. Sorry to spend so much time on that, but it really was a little bit confusing. This piece is a single piece, and I don't really know if it gets folded. I have seen it. It is rather tiny. When I say tiny, it's really tiny. In actual fact, I'll bring this one in and I'll show you. So as a bit of an idea, I have left my thumb there so you can see it. I could possibly zoom in a little more. There you go. Does anything fold there? It doesn't really look like it, I don't think. Can I go a little more? No, I think we're just going to chop them off on these points just here and there and possibly there. And then this is just like an antenna on its own. That's what I think. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully cut this one off. And when I say very carefully, I do mean very carefully. And probably, are they connected there? They are, and I can see where they're meant to be cut. There. Doesn't take much to cut it. You're still there. I don't know how much you can see. Let's see if I can go a little more. Okay. I'm going to do this one on a slight angle because there, one. Can't really see it that well, but I can feel it. And of course, let's take that one off there. One there. And one there, just like that. So where's that piece? Where are you? Here we go. And as you can see, it's quite small. So let's try and bend that up to the way it needs to be. I just knocked this barely a second ago and it's already misplaced. So I'm going to try and put that back and put this one back. Just by knocking it. There we go. I think we have recovered it. Just like that. And yeah, it's not easy. So there I've kind of put my first bend into it. Yeah, just this is what I think is correct. I'm not saying it is correct. And again, I'll try and do the other one and we'll see how we go. So there is my second bend, kind of creating that kind of box. And if I'm correct, I should be able to bend those ends around and they should make the box. I don't really know, but I'm going to give it a shot. But pretty happy with that so far. If I can get that back around. Probably needs a little more just here. And a bit more squarer. And I'll try and readjust those sides. Let's see if we can do this one while we're on here. I do believe they have to go down like that. Yeah, something like that. Oops, it's not easy. Kind of creating the side there, and that does create that box which we were just talking about. Yeah, they do go down, so that is the correct way. We'll get some glue and we'll set them off. I'm going to attempt to try and do this while you're online. So I've got some C8. Now it just needs to be pushed down and attached. I can't really see it that well. And of course, if I get one, you're still there. Yeah, you are. Okay. So if I nudge that, it kind of nudges the other one back to where it needs to be. Like that. I don't know if you can see that. Try a bit more glue. Boy, this is a fiddly little piece, this one. It is on there. Now, if I can just separate that one a little bit, I have. And then I've kind of ruined it. Wow, it's almost too small for me to even see. You guys can see it in the camera far easier than I can. And I just can't keep those pieces down. Wow, what am I going to do here? Just leave it sit there like that for a minute? Maybe. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit right this. And clearly I can't move my hands to pause the camera. So I'm going to have to cut this section out and I'll come back. There's one side and I really do have to let that sit so I can do the other side. So I'm going to come back. Okay, it's been a good 10 minutes. Hopefully that's dried off now. That I can muck around the other side. I don't want to touch the other side while this one's still wet. So I might give it just a little longer. And there is the other side done. We'll just let that dry off before we play with it any further. And we'll come back in about another 10 minutes. Okay, now that's done, let's try and flip that up. Which way are we going to flip it up? I think we're going to flip it up like that. And possibly get the antenna. I'll just zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. Get the antenna in. And basically, let's put some glue on the other end of that. Still wet? Well, it is still wet. Yeah, got some glue on it. And put it on there. Basically, like that. To try and hold that antenna. Oh, you're off to the side there, sorry. I dabbed it on there and yeah, just gonna hang on to this and let it go off. So there it is there, just sort of hanging on there. It is drying. Try and give you a bit of a look. It is doing exactly what I want it to do. I'll tell you what I didn't check though, was the way that I grabbed that and put it on there. Let me just double check that, hang on. Okay, there it is, it's resting. Just letting it go off, so, and it really is, it took me about 10 minutes to balance that there. Not because it was balancing, because it was just so easy to knock it over and then I'm trying to pick it up and readjust it all. But right now I'm pretty happy with it. So what I really want to do is I really want to let that go off, like right off. So I'm going to come back again. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how much that's sort of gone off now, and it's sort of laying on its side and it's sort of still, it's holding its own weight. I do believe it's kind of really gone off. Pretty happy with the way it's sitting. Now let's try and put that onto the mask itself and have a look how we go. Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is very carefully pick this up. Yeah, I'm going to put some Tamiya cement on it because it's nice and tacky. On there. And I think what I'm going to do is just place this one on there like that. So that's now on. Yeah. And now that goes up there. Something like that. Boy. I gotta tell you, that was not the easiest piece to put on. It could probably still go a bit more that way, but we're going to make some adjustment to it once it's fully gone off. But for right now, I think we're going to leave it just there, and then I can make some adjustments to it afterwards. That's what I think. Sorry about this episode and some of the other ones too. It hasn't been, the most easiest to put this together, and that, while I kind of, that kind of threw me a little bit. I do like the way that it looks. And there is another piece to go on top of it, and I'll quickly do that offline because it's just one piece on top of that. But we're taking up too much time in this episode now. So I hope you like this episode of the mast. I'd love to show you in the ship, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in its own little box with the other masts so they can't get damaged in any way, all ready for painting, ready to go. But I do like that. That looks really nice. Yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. Okay, I came back just quickly, just because I added the top on there, just offline, and you can probably see it with the mat behind it. It's so tiny, and it was so fiddly, it wasn't worth putting on the camera, and it's only just been glued, so I'm just going to let it go there.